Hi, this is Shah Jalal. I'm a solution architect in Cisco Systems. For next few sessions, I'm going to cover CliQr, acquired by Cisco recently, and now we call it Cisco CloudCenter, and the latest version is 4.5. So those who have no clue what is CloudCenter, I'd just like to have a focus look at the Cisco's version, what it should do, and also vision from the CliQr. Then quick architecture overview. How does it work? What are the components required? Then a demo. Then system requirements, what you need as a professional services or those who are in the field. What is the requirement you need to know so that you can deploy for the customer and deploy CloudCenter in the VMware. This is the kind of demo session that I'm going to deploy each and every component of the CloudCenter, configure them, what are the steps you need to go through, and how you do that. And then we'll prepare the CloudCenter manager for the first time, and then we start adding cloud, like first of all VMware Cloud. After you do the VMware Cloud, we'll configure an application, demo application profile, and then deploy that into the VMware Cloud. Once that application profile is created, you could take that profile and put it anywhere. Like we would then add AWS Cloud and deploy in AWS Cloud, the same application. That's the beauty of CloudCenter. You could just configure one profile. Those who are conversant with the ACI or UCS, it's kind of that application profile based on a template. And once it's created, it's kind of infrastructure agnostic. You could put it your private cloud, your public cloud. Now, what Cisco thinks CloudCenter should do? So, to securely deploy and manage applications to data center, private cloud, and public cloud environments. And if you go into the CliQr website, there will be a beautiful picture here. So you define the application requirements. You pick the best cloud. You can kind of benchmark that. We're not going to cover today. Then they say one-click deployment into any cloud. In this demo, in our case, it should be VMware and AWS. But again, you can see that it supports a lot of other clouds. And after it is deployed, you can have the visibility and control. So next, go over to the architecture overview. As we said, like it abstracts the application from the underlying cloud environment. So it doesn't matter which cloud you provision, you can just configure one application profile and deploy it. Now, as an admin, you'd log into some kind of manager, and we call it CCM, CloudCenter Manager, where you kind of model, deploy, manage, admin, all the stuff admin does in govern applications. And there you create the application profile. I'll show a demo after this, that how you do that and what it does. And as I said, like it's cloud agnostic, portable. That's your manager. You can probably put in an inside data center where you can access. And then in each cloud, you put an orchestrator. We call it Cisco CloudCenter Orchestrator, CCO in short. So you hear the term CCM, CCO very frequently in the later sessions. Orchestrator is, as the name says, it orchestrates, that works as a kind of between the CCM and the cloud. CCM, you say that, okay, I want this to happen. You send the information to CCO. CCO does the hard work in conjunction with AMQP, which is a connection broker with the VM that's deployed, and a Guacamole for remote access. So AMQP and Guacamole can be separate, but in our deployment, it's one VM that does both jobs. So this is, in short, the how it works. So as you can see, each cloud needs the orchestrator and an AMQP Guacamole. Now, you saw the term CCM, CCO, AMQP, your guacamole, what each component does. CCM, as it says, that is a centralized management tier that acts as a dashboard. And what do you do there? Model, migrate, manage deployments. You can have one CCM and you can have multiple CCOs. And the CCO is a, as the name says, multi-tenant orchestrator. It is transparent to users. As a user, he's never going to go there and log in and see. As an admin, you can probably troubleshoot and you can see what's happening, but it is completely transparent to the users. And it resides in the environment where the cloud is, like it's a data center, maybe private cloud, maybe public cloud. And you can see one CCO can manage up to 10,000 VM. Next is AMQP guacamole. We also call it Rabbit. Probably you're already aware of it. It handles the communication between the CCO and the management agents in the application VM. So as it suggests, there is a management agent in the application VMs, which we'll cover later. And why it does it? To perform different orchestration tasks. And we use guacamole for remote SSH and VNC. And there is an optional component that's monitor. You can or cannot, may not do that. So monitor is an independent system that monitors the cloud and CCO health. So if you look at the diagram, this is what it looks like. So start from the bottom. In the browser, you're sitting as an admin. You access CCM on port 443. And this is just one cloud. So that's per cloud region. You have a CCO where you talk to on port 8443. I'm going to cover each port later and kind of show that what ports needs to be open for what component. For the time being, just ignore the health monitor. Then the CCO through AMQP talks to all the VMs, and the ports are mentioned, 5671. And AMQP and the VMs, they talk on 7789. This is very important, these ports, because you are putting on these AMQP and CC on the public cloud. So you have to make sure those ports are open so they are able to talk back. Now, AMQP and guacamole, if you separate them, it's not shown in the diagram, but 7788 port is used between the AMQP and guacamole. And for troubleshooting, we would put few more ports. I'll probably cover that later. And there's a component called CliQr repository, so where you put the bundles, scripts, and other stuff. I will cover them also in more details in the later sessions. So this is the infrastructure. Just I'm trying to focus. So CCM, CCO, AMQP, guacamole, and then your health monitor on the side on port 8443, which is an optional component. Next, these are the infrastructure roles we just covered. Now, what else we have in the CCC to make it work? The management agents, as I mentioned before, it needs a management agent to run each VM. So CliQr provides, or Cisco provides, a worker VM, they call it, which has the built-in agents. You don't need to do anything, you just import it. I think there are different operating systems, CentOS, Red Hat, Windows. But if there is a cloud, there is a customer image. I think most of the cases customer will have an image, right? You need to configure that. So you can install that agent and make it your worker image, we call it. And CCO receives monitoring information from the management agents, and interns provide the instruction through, of course, AMQP. These are self-explanatory bundle store. So it stores all the applications, VMs to communicate with the CCO. So CliQr provides called cdn.cliqr.com. The customer can take advantage of that, or you can make your local. In the demo, we'll cover how we do local. I would think a lot of the customers will be interested to make it local in case the CCO doesn't, those servers don't have access straight to the internet. Package store, another box for the binaries, and that's also provided by CliQr, repo.cliqr.com. And artifact repository is customer's choice. There are various choices like HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, and you can see Puppet, also Chef. Like if you are a customer, you'd like to deploy an application and you have your scripts, right? You have your own custom scripts. So you need to pull that from somewhere. So this is the somewhere. Here you keep all your scripts or the binaries, and then you can pull them and you can install them, and you can, So in terms of bundle packages, artifact stores, this is what it looks like. So those application VMs must be able to access those CDN, repo, or the artifact. So they can install the customer applications into those VMs. In total, like if you just step back and take a total picture of different clouds, private, public, together, this is what it looks like. So from the bottom, you see the CCM was probably the manager of everything. You deploy, that's a VM. And then you have your CCO on VMware Cloud, you have your CCO on the Azure Cloud, you have your CCO on the AWS Cloud. So CCM has straight kind of communication with CCO, all of them. And then CCO in terms do this hard work in conjunction with AMQP. And also there's a Guacamole for remote access. And you could have a HMON, which is the monitor, to monitor all those cloud environment through CCO. And also there is a CliQr agent repo that we mentioned. If it is an internal one, you probably have your local agent repo. If you have it is external in the public cloud, probably you could use CliQr repo. And also you have a artifact, you could use any of those protocols for your custom scripts, application binaries. Now this will be interesting part. Opencart is an application, demo application. I'm going to deploy that. So I have done the configuration, the initial configuration. Let's go and log into the CliQr portal. So this is your portal for CliQr. So there's a default username and password. Default password is CliQr. First, those who has logged in for the first time and never seen CliQr or CloudCenter before, this kind of orientation. This is a dashboard. As standard, you can see the clouds. It's kind of get the status. Active VMs. There's no active VMs. We did not do. This is just for the basic configuration. Then I would probably start from the bottom. Admin. So here is clouds. So I kind of created a VMware Cloud and also AWS Cloud. So VMware Cloud, you could deploy the VMs there, and also AWS is the AWS for the, this is my region to deploy. Then I was talking about the different repository, that's CDN .cliqr.com, repo.cliqr.com, and also the artifact repo. This is the repo. You could add repo and the options available as I mentioned before. Okay, we have the basic things there, and once you have an application, you can publish that at a marketplace. Now, let's go into the application. What I'm trying to show is about Opencart. Now, Opencart, what is Opencart? Those who have actually no idea what is Opencart, it's a kind of free shopping cart system. It's an open source PHP-based online e-commerce platform. So on the back end, it uses MySQL database. So there is a database component, there is a web server component, For the purpose of modeling, we use 3-tier. Also, this load balancer. So we have a load balancer in front, and then your Apache web server, and then MySQL at the back. So this is what it looks like. So the Opencart has the Apache on CentOS 6 in this case for the versions compatibility, and also MySQL on the back end. So 2 VMs, one running Apache Tomcat, other one is MySQL. In our profile, we'll have 3 tiers, one for the load balancer, all are CentOS. This is just for application, nothing to do with CliQr. You could use your choice of the operating system. Then Apache, and then the MySQL at the back end. So how the modeling process works, so just forget about CliQr. Think about an application you're going to deploy. If it is a multiple tier, you'll probably first execute the installation, the binaries, install the applications, and then there may be certain scripts you kind of run to communicate between them if you want to make it automated, if you don't want to do it manually. So same thing it does here, execute the installation steps, and also the your execute different steps, which kind of hidden from the your user. So in our case, what we are going to do is there is a bundle in this demo is called Opencart compiler.zip, and that's the version which contains the config.php, which is that drives the application, and then plus that's the basic binaries installation, and then we have a bundle of zip files that have all the scripts that makes the entire thing happen. Now, as a CloudCenter admin, you probably would not know each and everything about how this works. You have to work with the application admins, like application owners, who knows ins and out of the application, how different components fit in together. So you probably have to get the scripts also from them, and you can check that how things work together before they put it into automated. They probably have to make sure it works manually. So these are the scripts would be provided, and you would probably have to check that what the scripts does. So it kind of describes what the script it does. So we're going to have 3 tier, one for the load balancer, which probably has no custom configuration. Next is Apache, which have kind of few parameters will pass, and then MySQL, and then we'll run through certain scripts. All right. Now, let's show this how this is configured. So first of all, we have the basic parameters, we just give the name, Opencart, the version. Then the most important part here is the repo. So we created that artifact repo, which is HTTP repo, and you can say this is HTTP. You could make your one. This is for the demo, and this is the IP address of that server. And actually, that server probably is open. This is the server I'm talking about. Now, in the application, we use that repo for the binaries and the scripts. Then the global parameters, like the script needs a username and a password for the database. So these variables are used inside the scripts. So OCDB user, and your value is here is student2, and the password is this. And this just for a troubleshooting purpose. By default, what happened, like if you deploy a VM or 3 or 4 VMs, it's gonna, if the installation fails, it's gonna blow off the entire VM. So you'll not have anything there. So if you put these parameters, then even it fails, it will be there. So you can log into the VMs and see what actually went wrong. This can be very useful for troubleshooting, but in production, probably you don't want to keep this one. Now, the most interesting part here is the topology modeler. So as I said, that is your load balancer. So there, a load balancer. I just picked up this one. Then comes the web server. So we just picked Apache, and we connected them to one another. And lastly, the database. So these are the options for database. This is built-in, provided by CliQr. So we didn't do anything about this MySQL or Apache or that load balancer. It is there. I can just drag and drop, and those repo and bundles, they kind of make this boxes work. We have nothing to do here. We are not kind of modifying this one. We kind of working on this part, the web server. So as you can see here, there's a package, and that's the package name I mentioned before in my slide. These are the binaries, and that's the config file. And there are a few other things like the post start script. You could do all those scripts if you have those scripts, and also the firewall rules, like you can put port 22 also, just if you want to troubleshoot or any ports. This will be configured on the for the VMs for you. And also node initialization, we have deployed few packages. And for MySQL side, again, it has the that script runs, DB setup script, and firewall rules, same. You could also open port 22 if you want to. Then also your initialize scripts. These are the basics. Again, I won't go into the complexity of the application, so you'll probably have to work with these application team to configure, make it work together and in automated fashion. So I've also added 2 clouds, as I said before, and then we have to make a deployment environment. So I created 2 deployment environment, one for the VMware, one for the AWS. So let's deploy this application. This is just for a VM CentOS deployment. So deploy. So Opencart VMware. Okay. So here is the environment. I kind of configure, and I'll show you how we do that in the later sessions. And then there is also instance type, which just says what is the size of this your VM that he's going to deploy. So okay, it has started deploying. Now you see that marks, it starts blinking, and then it will turn into green once it is done. I can probably do one thing. I can log into the vCenter and show that it starts. Okay, see this VM already started deploying. It has deployed 3 VMs, so that's pretty quick. And it will start configuring the IP addresses and everything for you. There's a DHCP server here, so okay, this is probably just in the initial stage. So let it go, and we'll come back to this your demo later. Next to the system requirements. So we have done this for the VMware your cloud, right? So if this works, then we will go into that. We'll take the same application profile and push it to the AWS. So once it is working on your VMware, let's go and have a look on the AWS. So this is the AWS dashboard. So I have my account and permission to make sure everything is there. And again, I'm going to cover this later. We have the CCO here, and you can see CCO SA Jalal, that's one, and AMQP also here. So we have AMQP and CCO there. So we have the cloud components there, and also I've added that AWS. And you see here we have 15 instances right now. Still is working. Let's have a pause and then come back once it is done. Okay, it's deployed. And if we go back to your VM vCenter, we can see that it has configured all 3 VMs, and I asked for this deployment folder. So all 3 tiers, the specific information you can get here, the name and the IP addresses and what the task it ran, and then you can also select the Apache one, and each has individual status, also MySQL. And so once it is done, you can also access the Opencart to this. So it's a kind of example of how quickly you can kind of deploy an application in multiple tiers. It just showed 3 tiers. And also you can have the options to scaling options, like say if the application is kind of used by too many people, then you can expand on the go. Those kind of advanced policies are also there. So once it is there, we could kind of deploy the same thing on the AWS. So let's go and deploy on the AWS. So there's a call. So what do you do here? We select AWS Cloud in deployment environment instead of the VMware. Then rest of things, AWS, I'm trying to, T2 Micro is kind of the smallest one, just to, not tax too much on the AWS account. And we submit. Same profile, same application profile, we deployed in VMware, now we're going to deploy in the AWS. And it is submitted as in progress. So I'll come back once it is completed, and then we'll go over both of them. So we're back. Looks like this is deployed successfully. And similar to the VMware deployment, we did the same status here. Only thing, it's a different cloud here. So that's load balancer. And you can see the IP addresses here. This is the public IP from AWS. This is the private IP within the Amazon cloud. That's for your web server and also MySQL. Now you can see the instance names. If you are familiar with your Amazon, you know that the instances IDs are pretty kind of complex. So you can see here we have 3 servers, 1, 2, 3, and you can select them. You can see whose IP is what. So 186. So if I go back to the this guy, I should be able to access from here. So here you go. So same thing. If you have the now backend data, you need to migrate. You could probably run some script and move it alone. So once you kind of configure that app in your internal data center, you could move it to any cloud that's supported. So that's the bottom line, and that's what your CliQr does. So I would probably end my demo and also this session with this one. And then in the next session, I would cover more deep dive into the requirements and how do you configure and all those kind of stuff.